Hello, Phil.
Hi.
Good to hear you in the conference today.
Yeah, no, really enjoyed it. Great to have a conversation with 3 trade associations on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to hear the difference and the unity in the approach. From trade these days and from the trade bodies. Just picked up this.
Good.
I thought, as Logistics UK have outlined in their latest manifesto, logistics really is critical to growth across the UK, and there's a real opportunity there to drive growth through investing in logistics. So what do you think the priorities of the next administration should be?
Well, I think driving growth is undoubtedly at the top of that list of priorities. It's quite a big list, actually. But the reason for that is because other things become so much more possible in an organisation or a country that is growing. And when you look at where we are as a country at the moment, we need that. We need the money to invest in our public services and in our infrastructure. But actually, we've been in quite a lull, I think, for a considerable period of time. So I think logistics can help in 3 ways. First of all, if you boost productivity in logistics, you boost every other sector, because we support every other sector.
Yeah, without logistics, nothing happens.
Exactly. Yeah. So a benefit in there will benefit into all. And there's 2 ways really that benefit can be achieved. The first is by really boosting the focus on the infrastructure of the country, particularly the transport capacity. Yeah. I think there was an estimate the other day that said that congestion in the UK costs £9 billion a year. It's an astonishing number.
Yeah. And we need to understand what the strategic logistics infrastructure is, and make sure we invest in it.
Well, I think that's the only way that investment can go in the right place.
Yeah.
Because we have to see logistics infrastructure as national assets. Yeah, they're national assets locally placed.
Yes.
Yeah. But particularly airports, ports, and the connecting areas and corridors, absolutely fundamental for that. Yeah. But the other area that I think we could really work with any government of any colour to boost growth is by easing the pressures on trade. For our exporters, for the cost of all our businesses. Obviously, we're a heavily traded nation, always have been. But we need to make it simpler, and we need to make it less expensive, and that will help boost our trade going forward.
Yes, I think there was a recent World Bank study that Logistics UK picked up on, wasn't there, where they look at friction around borders, and we'd slipped from 4th in the index, I think, to 19th.
Yeah, and I think it was something like an 8 billion, we're in billions, aren't we? An 8 billion pounds worth of growth opportunity, probably, over this decade, really.
Yeah.
But from a combination of infrastructure and trade, to then act as a fillip, really, to boost the economy going forward.
Yeah, and I think interestingly in the manifesto as well, it picks out on the need for a cross-Whitehall forum for logistics.
Yeah, I mean we not just in Logistics UK, but in all the trade associations, we deal with lots of different government departments, because logistics is handled in lots of different government departments.
Yeah.
Because it tends to be handled by mode or by sector.
Yeah.
So we're pushing for a minister for logistics. I think it's really interesting when we talk to our members about whether that was a good idea or not. They were very enthusiastic, got really behind it very quickly. Because actually there's a role to coordinate across all the departments to ensure that the things that give the positive outcomes happen across government, bringing logistics being front and centre of the debate rather than perhaps a bit further down the pecking order.
Yeah, good. Okay. In the speeches today and in the conference sessions, you were talking about decarbonisation.
Yes.
So that seems to be what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, this industry loves to experiment.
Yeah.
You can see it actually in the show today. I mean, if you look at some of the people what they're offering, and you see, as I go around and talk to our members, see what they're doing. Yeah. There is a real enthusiasm in our companies, and also I think in our people, to embrace decarbonisation. However, it's a multi-government, multi-asset life journey. And so we need to create that roadmap that then creates a stability for people to invest.
Yeah, so they're making the right decisions. We don't want them to invest in the Betamax.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuel,
yeah,
do we, really?
and I think there are, we're building on some strengths, but I think at the moment there's a bit too much uncertainty, particularly around some of the regulation, for people to wholly invest.
Yeah.
So the sooner we can get that joint roadmap, the better.
And I guess at the heart of all these things that we're talking about decarbonisation and trade and skills, is collaboration.
Collaboration enables you to achieve results that you can't do on your own. And that's fundamentally why it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's true in industry. It's also true in the world of trade associations. And so the launch yesterday of our alliance of 11 trade associations, looking to, with common message, into whatever government we face in the future, is a really good thing.
Yeah, and a new thing for the industry.
It is. Yeah, it is a new thing, and it embraces trade associations covering all different modes, covering all different sectors, but with that common purpose of benefiting the UK PLC through better logistics.
Brilliant. I was just waiting for another voiceover, but so Phil, you've been at the heart of Generation Logistics since it was launched a year and a half ago. So what do we need to do now to win the talent for hearts and minds for people to come into logistics?
Well, I think the first reflection I would have is that if people aren't aware of a career that they could go into, they're probably not going to go into it.
Yeah.
And so the biggest part of the work that's been done so far is to try and raise awareness of the careers that exist within the logistics industry, where there really is something to suit everybody. And we've moved the dial a little, I think, in the first 18 months. So there's a more positive attitude towards logistics, but we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is to continue.
Yes.
With the collaboration, sponsors, trade partners, DFT that we have to get that message more and more into younger people.
Yeah, and if there's anybody watching this who's been seeing everybody getting excited about Generation Logistics and ministers and government talking about it a lot, how do they get involved?
Well, their best route, they can come directly to the generationlogistics.org website. They can come directly to myself or to Bethany Windsor at the CILT, and we're there. It's a small team that we've got. Obviously, yourself, Kevin, as well, heavily involved in the creation of this, if I remember rightly. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved, actually individually or as an organisation. We're at I think 54 sponsors now, which is remarkable, really, when you consider that this was a twinkle in David Wells's eye, 18 months ago.
Yeah, and even with an election looming, government being still pretty positive about it carrying on in the future.
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the main reasons for that positivity is that we use the voice of young people to talk to young people.
Yeah.
So we're not asking them to listen to people of our generation. We have 150 case studies now, young people, real people talking with real passion about their real jobs. And that is much more effective than any other kind of promotional campaign that we could run.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, that's great. Phil Rowe, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin.